Wow, we live?
Yes. Hey, Vince.
Well, hey, Judy, our favorite Asian lawyer from YouTube. I am excited to be here. There's a lot going on. Hold on, we got a lot of things. Hold on. With
Mhm.
the Adelson case, obviously, since last Tuesday. I don't know if we did our show last Tuesday. You were in Tallahassee, right?
Yes, live from Tallahassee. It was a great trip. I was very happy to be there. And like I said, I made the mistake of having lunch with my sister today. So I spent the whole lunchtime talking and it was loud and stuff. So my voice is dead. So why don't you go ahead and do more of the talking?
Well, we have a connection, obviously, to a
Yeah.
loud restaurant with the Adelson case because Charlie Boy met with Harvey at
Mhm.
a restaurant for which the FBI could not fool old Charlie Boy. He saw the recorder next to him as he was talking to his dad. And then, of course, he meets with one of his Asian angels at another restaurant that's crowded and noisy. But either way,
Yeah.
today today we're going to get into one the list of new words you don't want me to say, and I just want to make sure we have it correct because I don't want to disrespect your show. So you don't
Well,
want me to say
don't
Big
even
Black
say
Cock BBC,
wait
right?
a minute. I'm going to have to edit this. One of the one of the shows we did from Tallahassee with you and Patty, I just spent some time cutting out the first 5 minutes because you were just going off on a tangent talking about Walter Luckett and her husband's health problems and asking her more personal questions. So I was like, God, you lose the audience within the first 20 seconds. So we can't just start out with this whole tangent. Okay,
And
let's
it's
talk about
all
the
right. I'm sorry,
case.
but I just want to make sure I have your list. You don't want me to say Big Black Cock BBC, right?
Well, I
Don't
don't think
call
I, whatever.
don't call Asians Orientals. I got that. And don't call white man honkies, right? Is there
No,
anything else that I can't
I
say?
also said other things, but let's not bring it up. So I'll tell
Oh,
you if you need to be censored.
all right, just
Okay.
let me know if there's another list and I'll read it out and make sure we have it clear. So I won't say those words.
Let's not. Let's just get into the show before we lose the audience. Okay. Yeah. No, that's not really Wendy. I'm sure that's a fake account because remember, her attorney told her stay off social media. Don't don't look at it. So
I had a rule that you weren't supposed to be looking at chat unless they were super chats, but then you broke that within. So I'm allowed to say
well,
Big Black Cock
well,
once.
this,
BBC.
will you stop it? This is my channel. If we do something funny on your channel, then we can go all out and say all sorts of wacky, weird things that might offend people. Okay.
Uh,
So,
okay.
shall we play the video, or do you want to make some comments about the jurors? What do you call it? TikTok and interview.
So the one juror, the four-person, came out and she's giving interviews and she's answering questions on TikTok, and I love it because
Mhm.
for an attorney, you think sometimes that something's important and it goes right past the jury. For example, this juror put a lot of weight into Wendy Jill driving near the house and then not so much as to her parents trying to flee Vietnam and other things. So it's important for Wendy Jill, if she does get arrested, to go through exactly what this juror said and make your adjustments.
Well, there are probably plenty more comments that JC could have said, but the interview had a short time frame. So I was surprised. Well, she didn't think Jeff Lacasse added much to the case, but I do agree that the case was against Donna. So Lacasse didn't really have that much to say because he hardly had interactions with her.
We
So
know Jeff Lacasse for all these years, and we've heard him testify multiple times. We know he solved the case within 20 minutes, and then within the hour, he gave the exact way that Charlie Boy did it. However, girls do get weirded out or they love Jeff Lacasse. Now, Jeff Lacasse is a guy every girl should marry. I'm telling you that I advise girls marry someone that's nerdy and that's not that good looking because men are as only as faithful as their options. And if they're nerdy and they're really into you, those are the guys you marry. The only unfortunate thing is I see this. Women never marry those type of guys. They go for the playboy, they go for the good guys, the nice looking guys with the muscles, and then they end up divorced in 10 years. So this girl picked up on that. And I get where she's coming from with Jeff Lacasse. You're either going to really be into him and like him, or you may get a little weirded out by what he did. Now, I had said that you females don't know this, or maybe there's something that's equivalent, but I kept it censored, and I said that there's a vagina fog guys get into. Once we get some new girl / new vagina, we don't care if you killed someone coming here. In fact, you could have murdered the barista as you got our coffee. If we're in the vagina fog, we're going to love you. And I say that because the juror was questioning why Jeff Lacoste didn't go to the cops when Wendy allegedly said that her brother is going to hire a hitman or looked into one. And I said, that girl doesn't understand vagina fog. Is there something similar for a female where you're really into a guy and you overlook certain things like murder or something like that?
Sure. I mean, look at June. How June was kind of giggling, like, yeah, he was the perfect guy, except for the murdering and the cheating. So it also depends on the person's self-esteem, of course, because some people aren't going to put up with certain things, even if it's not as bad as murder. But one of my friends who's a divorce attorney, she would constantly say that the first, say, like 6 to 9 months of any relationship is like the honeymoon phase, and especially for women, I forgot what she said, was it oxytocin or some sort of hormone that really affects your brain and judgment, kind of takes over. So that's why it doesn't make sense to, for example, get pregnant with or get married to somebody that you haven't even known for a full year, because you're still in that honeymoon phase. And she didn't say vagina fog or digmatized, but
whoa,
it's pretty much
digmatized,
the same thing.
I was going to say penis fog, but I never heard of, what is it, digmatized?
Yeah, I've heard of that lots of times.
Have you ever been digmatized?
Of course.
Really?
Yeah, and the guy was a total jerk, and he didn't want an exclusive relationship. I thought I was the only one, but then he threw it out like, oh, I think I should keep dating other people because I'm getting to be the age where I want to get married, so I should keep my options open. I was like, okay, fine. So I was like totally pissed off. And this guy later married one of my so-called friends, and then they got divorced. She ditched him. So anyway, so he's living his miserable life.
Yeah. You heard my theory that every woman married their second choice. Do you somewhat agree with that?
Yeah.
And by the way, actually, I should cite, Chris Rock came up with that theory, but I've tested it, and I've tried to observe humans in their natural habitat. And for the most part, he's pretty much right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get back to the case. So,
my wife said it was a fifth choice, but I say most women marry their second choice.
Okay. Well, let's get back to the juror. I thought her TikTok was kind of aggravating on some level because she was shaking and shaking the camera so much. It's like, why are you shaking the camera the whole time? Is there an earthquake or something? But in terms of what she actually said, I was very impressed. So it seemed like she put a lot of thought and effort into making sure the whole process was done correctly. So what do you think?
The issue is we love to judge people on looks. That's what human apes do. You have to do that to survive. It's wired in our DNA. So when we look at her, you may say, well, she's too young, or she's too white, or she has too many tattoos, or she has a black husband. All these potentially negative things aren't necessarily going to be true. And I fell into that. In the end, do you agree they came up with the right decision?
Yes, of course. Yeah. And during her interview with Mentor Lawyer, who I have great respect for, you guys please look at his interview on his channel. She did keep repeating that, they did come in with an open mind. They did look at all the evidence. So, I thought that was good of her to say, because some people in the comments were saying, well, we don't need jurors like this. She already had her mind made up. So I think it was good for her to explain that.
It was interesting to hear someone that's generally didn't have any clue about this case. We've lived this. It's very easy for us to know what's going to happen. There's very few surprises in trial 4. obviously the new witnesses that came across, but we knew what was going on. In fact, you probably can tune out during the openings and closings because we've seen it all before.
Yeah.
But someone that hasn't is giving a fresh insight as to what they believe occurred. And now everyone believes, including them, the jury, that Wendy Jill has some culpability, that she is guilty of something. And that's really up the alley of other people. I think now is a good time to segue into the video that we have, because the attorney that is being questioned is someone that was representing Dan Markel. And I wanted to get your take on it because I didn't know all the players. So obviously I know that Mama's boy, Joel Waldman, he's there. But now, Judy, the attorney that's below Joel, that's the attorney that was representing Dan?
Yes, he was Dan's family lawyer at the time that he was killed. So Dan went through at least a couple of attorneys. In the first filings I saw, his attorney was someone named Scott Snavely, but then he had to find someone new. I'm not exactly sure why. And Stephen Webster has been interviewed on my channel in the past. I found him to be totally credible and a huge advocate for Dan. So,
yeah, this was the good-looking one that you were telling me about right before the show, but not as good-looking as Sanford.
Okay, well, I was not commenting on his look. Sorry. So
one thing that was distracting is this guy Joel, who he grew up with a neurotic Jewish mom. So I'm not putting him down, but you have to watch him because sort of like you with this damn chat, he doesn't pay attention at all when the person's talking. It's actually not only rude, but it's just not good when you're interviewing someone. I'm not you. I'm saying for watch Joel.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm ignoring the chat. Okay.
Yeah, but like
Go
Joel
ahead.
doesn't even look at the chat. He's on his phone. I think he leaves at some point during the interview.
Well,
I don't
no,
know what
it's
this guy's
because-
doing.
It's because his wife is behind the scenes managing the chat, and I'm assuming she's the one who puts up the questions. And so, people do things differently, but I think most people do enjoy being acknowledged. There is a way that I could go ahead and show all the comments on the screen during the whole.
Yeah, we
But I
used to do
think
that in
that's
2008, Judy.
Yeah, but I think that's too distracting and it makes the screen look messy. So I don't
agree. I just want you to keep an eye on Joel. Maybe he always does this. I don't watch his show, but he seems to not be paying attention. But either way, we're getting Dan Markel's attorney that was representing him when he died and right before it. Now, why I bring this up is, that I don't believe Wendy Jill is guilty based upon the available evidence. However, there's something really big in this video that this attorney discloses that could lead to some sort of a motive by Wendy Jill Adelson. So let's watch this.
And I must say, he mentioned that during his interview with me a couple of years ago. So it's not really breaking news. It's just that hardly anybody watches me. So, okay, just had to put that in there.
Of course.
Yeah. All right. Ready?
Ready.
Okay. Is this the right speed? Yes.
Yeah, regular speed.
Privilege of driving by your office, actually put it out on Instagram. Also, your relationship with Dan. Just speak to that for a minute.
Yeah, so I had a friend who was charged with a crime. I used to support content.
It's fast forwarding on purpose, just because it's fast forwarding. When it fast forwards on purpose, he's not really saying much. He's just going to give his background. And the guy spends like 17 minutes describing his background, but.
Okay.
When it's fast forwarding, you really just want to focus on Joel. Like, I don't understand why an attorney answers a question and then goes right down to doing work. I don't get it.
You mean Joel?
Yeah.
Oh, he's not an attorney. He's a professional broadcaster.
Oh, he's a professional broadcaster?
Yeah, he used to work for Fox News.
Yeah, who cares? You can't ask a question to a guest and then put your head down. I don't know what he's doing. So just so you know, when you hear the fast forwarding, I was paying attention to Joel. Now, if you tell me that he's got a neurotic Jewish wife in the background,
no, she's not Jewish. I think she's Puerto Rican.
Ooh, so he's got a neurotic Jewish mom that somehow is watching over the show and it's on it, and then he's got a Puerto Rican wife. All right, so Joel's under a lot of stress then, but he's got to pay attention to the guest at least, despite the fact you have a Puerto Rican wife. and a Jewish mother, you have to at least look at the guest every now and then. So the point is, when you see the fast forward, that's what's going on.
Okay. Let's go.
Hit that play button.
All the lawyer jokes had been told 1,000 times, and it's the job. I was like, okay, the job is gone, and started my own firm, and was, like probably most small businesses when they first started, was pretty scared. And a friend of mine called me, wasn't long after I had my firm going, and said, "I own a family law case against Linda Bailey one time. I won." But I had no real inclination to do family law, litigation. I know Tim probably would back me up on this. I'm sure John probably would. Fledgling firm. I don't do family law. And he said, "You don't have to worry about it. He's a law professor. He'll teach you everything you need to know." That's probably a good thing. So I said, well, I'll meet with him. So I read all of the pleadings. The idea of seeing a law professor possibly get disbarred and almost certainly face the prospect of losing his job as a law professor, given the stress on ethics that law schools have, and we're hammering all of the students. If all of a sudden their law professors are held in contempt or.
So the attorney's now getting into what he was meeting with Dan for initially. Was Dan facing a contempt order?
I don't think so, but I think maybe the judge had said something to his attorney, saying that I don't like these pleadings. They're way too long. And, it is true. Looking at some of the pleadings, it was pretty obvious that Dan had written them, because they're written like law review articles with huge footnotes and citations and, 10 plus pages for a motion. In general, in family court, you don't have to have tons of legalese and multiple pages to your filings. It's usually just like 2 pages long, 3 pages, depending on what it's about. So it was very wordy.
Yeah, they were. And I'm smiling because if you practice in family law, especially in divorce cases, there's so much emotion. And especially if there's an attorney, you're going to see these long, drawn-out pleadings. In the end, you're going to wind up basically splitting everything 50-50, including custody of the kids, unless there's some extraordinary circumstances. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
The harder you generally fight, the more you're going to end up depleting the assets of the family. And in their cases, they didn't necessarily have to worry. So this is your last chance to get your last punch in at your spouse. And I saw that in Dan's pleadings. I thought he was going to be an asshole. And this attorney and all that blabber leading up to it basically said the same thing. He thought he was going to go in there and not like this guy. But he meets with him and then he likes him. Maybe the contempt case they're speaking about is the one they want to file against Wendy. We're going to get into that.
Mm-hmm. Shall I go ahead?
Yes. I don't know where Joel went.
Or dinged for, submitting fraudulent pleadings. I was like, that's just not something I want to be affiliated with. But I went to meet with him anyway because I told him I would. I walked in immediately. He wasn't anything like I thought he was going to be, and that he was going to be able to establish that Wendy had indeed concealed assets and committed fraud. And then kind of given, for me, what moved me was his main concern. It was my strategy that we needed to send requests for admissions to Wendy. He had absolute dead bank proof that she had committed fraud in her financial disclosures. We're going to give her a chance to either come clean. Well, I'm going to ask her to admit you committed fraud. And if she denies it, she'll just be guilty of committing a second act of fraud. But I told him, I said, look, man, if I file this, even if she zigs or zags, it doesn't really matter at that point, because one way or the other, she's going to be on the hook for fraud. And it could have real dire consequences on her ability to practice law and to work, and on your children. And if we have to do it, we have to do it. I really feel like I owe it to your children to at least go try to talk to her lawyer.
Hey, Joel came back. So the issue is, when you're getting divorced, both sides have to disclose all their assets, and they have to do it under oath. And sometimes people will intentionally leave things off. Sometimes they claim that they're not marital assets. Regardless, what this attorney's attempting to say is that he's going to file a request with Wendy Jill saying either you admit to intentionally failing to disclose a certain asset, or disclose it now and tell us that you committed quote unquote fraud. It's a stretch because in reality, you know that sometimes things get left off, and I've never seen anyone prosecuted for leaving an asset off, even if they did it intentionally. Just realistically, there's no one losing their quote unquote bar license over this. They always have an excuse. Oh, well, I thought I owned this property before.
Yeah, or I was so stressed out I forgot because I have so many assets and debts. Yeah.
So that's what this attorney, for those who are not familiar, is basically saying he's going to file, and that Wendy will have no option. Either she has to admit to the fraud now or confess that she committed fraud in the past. And I just don't believe that Wendy cared that much about this, nor did her attorney. But that's my take on what's going on. You know better than I do.
Yeah, I'm sure she still cared about it because Stephen Webster did the professional thing by giving her attorney a heads up about this. So I'm sure the attorney told her too. So as Jeff Lacasse said, she took every filing very seriously and was always complaining and stressed out and anxiety ridden whenever anything happened with this whole litigation.
Well, we know that Wendy Jill doesn't like controversy, and she'll do pretty much anything to avoid it. That's at least what she testified to. I missed that super chat question if you want to ask it.
Oh, this person, thank you so much, Phantom. Hey, cornhole lawyer, you have an entertaining approach, minus Turtle Boy, but back off, Joel.
Okay. All right. I'll take that advice.
Joel's a great guy. He's helped me too. So I'm not going to say anything critical of him because he has worked so hard to get this show going, get all these great guests, and really spotlight the whole Dan Markel case.
I have publicly said to Turtle Boy and privately to leave Joel alone because he never grew up like Joel did with a neurotic Jewish mother. And the damage those moms can do on their sons, I have never seen anything like it except for in this situation. So I said, Turtle Boy, he's very thin-skinned. Leave him alone, please. You don't understand what it is to have that type of mother. But he didn't listen to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If we can't figure out some way to resolve this short of full-on, conflagration, and met with her lawyer, very reputable lawyer here in town, been around a long, long time, tried a bunch of cases. He kind of poo-pooed what I was saying, and I just finally told him, I said, hey, look, Jimmy, my conscience is clear. And Tim's laughing. He knows.
I know Jimmy.
And he's a great lawyer. And Jimmy's kind of got a shtick. He can kind of all shucks you. And that's the only time in my career as a lawyer that I've ever gone to another lawyer's office and tried to broker a deal. For me, it could be perceived as a sign of weakness. And so it's not something I would normally ever entertain. But I felt so strongly about the fact that if this went forward with this litigation, that it was going to be so damaging to Wendy. I reached out and grabbed his doorknob. He said, Stephen, I know what you're trying to do, and I appreciate it. And I turned around, looked back at him, and I said, well, Jimmy, I feel like I owe it to your client to at least give her this chance to see if we can't find common ground. I said, but if I haven't heard from her or you on July 18th, I'm going to file something. And when I file it, I feel like there's going to be no going back. And he said, I understand. I never heard back from them. That was on June 24th. And July 18th was a Friday, so I told Danny that was our deadline, and told Jimmy that was when I was going to file it. I didn't tell him what I was going to file, but I just told him. Drafted the request for admissions on Thursday. Kind of went over them with Dan Thursday night, and the plan was we were going to talk the next morning to finalize them for filing. I had told Dan that I was convinced that he was still seeing Wendy intermittently.
Judy.
And I told him, I said, that's got to stop.
That's a huge admission or confession that I never heard before. So it sounds like Dan was still in the fog and banging Wendy throughout this entire process.
Oh, he wasn't. He had different girlfriends. And at this point, he already had a serious relationship with that law professor from New York, Amy Adler. So,
but why would the attorney who knows guys and senses that he's hanging out, which you know that what that means with Wendy. And
Oh,
the attorney-
hanging out doesn't have to mean that he was being intimate with her. I mean, Dan was a nice guy. Didn't you hear that last voicemail where he told Wendy very politely that he wanted to talk with her or something that was very cordial. So I think it's kind of strange that you automatically think that, what was it, meeting with her meant that they were like getting busy. Come on.
Well, the issue is the attorney said that he was concerned that Wendy Jill was going to make a fake claim that he battered her or assaulted her. But that would mean that they would be alone in theory for that to happen. Sounds like it was going on and that Wendy Jill's fog was still over Dan.
No, I mean, well, it is true from what I heard. He really wanted to keep the marriage intact. So he begged her, he wanted to say that he would change and have her come back and bring the family together again. But she was hell-bent on ditching him. So
Of course. Miss Judy, what the hell would he change? Oh, maybe I'll stop working harder or stop watching the kids more. I mean, the guy was perfect. The problem is there was no way you can win once you go against a narcissist in Donna Sue. You're not going to win this case. Wendy didn't even want to get divorced. It didn't even matter. She's doing whatever her
No,
mom
she
was
wanted
telling her
to
do.
get divorced. I mean, clearly she was happy to run into the arms of her new lover right after
Yeah.
she ditched him.
Well, who is that? I want to do that any day of the week. It's just a matter of you have to understand that you have young kids and you're not going to get any better than Dan or worse. It's just he's just a good guy and he's fighting for this. A lot of people say that when you marry someone, it's important to know who the parents are because there's going to be disputes. And when there is the mom going to say, get back in there and work it out? Or is she going to say what Donna Sue said, fuck them at the first time they have a conflict and we're getting out of here? And you got to be very cognizant of that when you're choosing a spouse. You have to always look at the mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true, especially if the spouse or the would-be spouse is so easily controlled by the parent or parents. Because one of my mom's best friends once told me and my sister that her mother-in-law ruined her marriage. She said her mother-in-law was so terrible. She would show up and say, why is my son taking out the trash? He's a professor with a PhD. You should take out the trash. And she totally, infiltrated their marriage to the point where my mom's friend's husband started siding with his mother and treating my mom's friend like crap too. So she kept saying that. She was like, you have to look at the person's family and who your potential in-laws are going to be.
Did you ever see the movie Crazy Rich Orientals?
Asians. Yes.
Oh, it's Asians. The mom at one point talks to the daughter, and this is very important for American women, especially. She tells her that you're so concerned with happiness. And it's a critical point because Americans have so much divorce. 40 to 50% divorce rate. Obviously, that's good for your business, but a lot of times, especially with the women, they're so willing just to leave quickly, and they want their own short-term happiness over the long-term family / raising the kids. And I see that a lot with American women.
Well, I'm seeing that a lot with Asian immigrants, Asian Americans, because where I live, even though I'm in North Carolina, it's kind of unusual because I'm in Wake County, where there is a growing percentage of Asian people. A lot of them are Indian, there's some Chinese, Korean, etc. But I've actually had lots of clients who are Asian, maybe because they choose me, because they can identify with me or what. But it is kind of surprising these days. There aren't as many women who are willing to put up with abusive husbands or, most of them have jobs themselves, especially once, if they're educated here and have lived here a while.
Yeah, that's a problem. The girls here are too smart, too educated, too independent. All right,
Well,
let's get back.
Okay, let's get back to your
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
nice
you could
video.
say, well, what?
What was I going to say? I'm like Jackie Fulford. I think I lost my train of thought.
God. That's a good point, too, because the
Okay.
juror who's 25, the white girl, well, she said that she's a visual learner, and people just, you retain so much more when you actually see something. And
Yes.
the first thing Jackie said, well, I don't use that new technology.
Newfangled technology and courtroom.
Yeah, and it wasn't even that great. I mean, the reality of the matter is that Donna chose an attorney that she could control, and she needed real attorneys that were really going to give her a chance, because she had a chance to win this. This wasn't like Charlie's. If they really pressed the fact that there was not so much that hard connection, they had a chance in this case. And those attorneys were so bad, and I like them, but they were just bad for what Donna could have afforded.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, which makes you think that maybe she did approach better, more experienced attorneys, but they turned her down. Could have
I
been.
don't know why anyone would turn it down, but she had the money to get whoever she really wanted, and they just were so outmatched. And it's not like the prosecution's attorneys are that great. In fact, the juror, the one white juror girl, she said that the second one behind Georgia is that blonde girl.
Sarah
woman.
Catherine Duke.
Yeah, she's like, oh, she asked, is that girl? She said that girl doesn't really know how to speak that well in public. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what she's saying. And she was asking the mental lawyer, is she really experienced? Now, we know her from the previous trials. I don't think she's necessarily the greatest, but we're dealing with sort of like a second tier level of a trial attorney, and Donna Sue Adelson could have afforded so much more, and she just didn't.
Yeah, yeah. Well, remember also in Tallahassee, a lot of people knew Dan or had some sort of connection because, he taught at Florida State University. And I'm sure he was active speaking at different criminal law events or continuing legal ed things and conferences. So, for example, that's how Katie wound up being rejected by the public defender's office for her appeal because the attorney said they had a conflict of interest and could not or would not represent her.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to keep playing this?
Yeah, let's keep rolling.
Okay. Thank
If I find out you're hanging around her, I'm going to be out. I'm going to get off this case because I had genuine concerns that she might accuse him of like hitting her, kicking her, slapping her, try to get an injunction against him, and then use that as the tactical advantage to try to leverage her move with the children back down to Miami. And I know the lawyers here know that they've seen those family law cases that trickle over into criminal court. Friday morning, he called me. I was in the central time zone. We had stopped in Hoover, Alabama. As we were driving down the highway, my wife decided that she needed to make a stop at a mall. And so I
imagine that.
Totally random. My wife decided that she needed to make a stop at a mall. And so I
imagine that.
Totally
Miss
random.
Judy?
I called him, I believe it was at
Who is that misogynist pig that has to laugh and say, haha, imagine that, women have to shop at mall?
Well, I would not call him a misogynist pig, but that's Tim Jansen.
How would you phrase it? Asshole? Misogynist
No.
asshole?
No, I would not call him that. I mean, he is very knowledgeable. He has waffled back and forth, and he made some people mad when he called Wendy mesmerizing a couple of years ago and said he didn't think she was ever going to be arrested or, that she was in fault. But he's totally changed his tune through the years. So most recently, he does seem to think that she is going to get arrested. And he has, from what I know, he's very well connected because he's worked in Tallahassee for decades.
Do you like to shop?
And not really, because I'm too short. So it's really hard to find clothes that fit. So as I get older, I feel like I'm just wearing the same clothes all the time.
I was just thinking that today. The older you get, the less you actually buy. Remember with like marketing, they always say that you go from like to the 18 to 40, 45-year-olds, because when you get older, you don't buy as much crap, and especially with regard to clothing. I'm falling into that category, unfortunately.
Yeah. Although when you do YouTube, I kind of feel like I have to wear different things, because it was really funny. For one interview with someone, I wore this white and black dress. Then I did a sort of a reaction to it later, and I was like, oh my God, I'm wearing the same exact dress again. So I
I've done
don't
the
think,
same thing.
yeah. It's like, oh my God, since I'm on YouTube, I need to spend more money buying different outfits.
Did I
Yeah.
hear this correctly that you sent flowers to Miss Dugan?
Yes.
That was very nice of you. And I'm not going to cut you off here, but I didn't like the fact that Georgia came up and was basically not acknowledging everyone. I would have at least brought her up, I believe, to speak
Yeah.
at the end. But
Yeah.
it doesn't make a difference one way or another who speaks or who doesn't. But I feel like there wasn't much acknowledgement of the team. So I'm happy you did that.
Yeah, I hope she liked it. So, yeah, I did address it. Well, the card is addressed to both her as well as Georgia Kappelman. But in terms of the florist, they only give you one blank to put the recipient. So I'm like, let's choose Sarah Catherine because she's the one that doesn't get the limelight. And she's done a great job too.
Yeah, I agree. It's
Yeah.
almost as nice as the $25 I gave to Donna Adelson.
Why would you do that? She
have
doesn't
no
need the
idea.
money. What a waste of money. You should
I
have
don't know why I
donated
did that.
Dan Markel Justice for Dan or the
Justice
Hillel,
Mushes. I want to talk
Ontario.
to Donna Sue.
Actually, I heard that she did communicate with some random strangers who reached out to her, probably because she's so lonely. And she was telling them that she felt optimistic and she thought she was going to beat this. So, were you thinking-
Narcissists will. If you
Yeah.
tell them how great they are or agree with their story, they'll basically talk to anybody.
Mhm. Yeah. So, but you didn't hear from her?
I didn't even do anything to follow up with it. I just literally, I don't know why I did it. I was like searching
Why?
for her. I told you this last time, and I found her, and I found her method to get her the money, and I just sent her. There was no end game to it. It was just so dumb, but I did it.
Well, next time you want to dole out $25, send it to me. You know my Venmo.
I still don't know why I did it. There was nothing
on
behind
you.
it. Like if I had something that if I was gonna call her and say, "Hey, did you get the $25?" Like I didn't do any of that or have plans to do it.
Well, if you pay, you should deserve something in return, right? Especially to some rich lady that doesn't need $25. Yeah. So, okay, you want to get back to your video? Yeah.
Well, this was just to be clear. You submitted your videos to the editor. I did mine. I didn't even see this before, so this is the compilation of what the editors came up with from both of our submissions.
Oh,
This
well,
part-
I didn't
yeah.
submit anything, so this
No,
is
they said they got a
Vince's-
few from you at the end. They said they got this is
Great,
This is
so
mine
you're going to
now.
embarrass me towards the end. Maybe I shouldn't play the whole thing.
No. There's nothing about this.
Okay. Don't do anything that's going to get the live stream taken down because I'll be really
Obviously.
pissed off.
12:18. So I guess he had probably been shot about, I don't know, 25 minutes prior. He didn't answer, which I thought was really weird. I know it sounds crazy, but at that very moment, I knew they had murdered him. I knew they killed him. My backstory and how this 11-year-plus-year odyssey started for me.
Wow.
In this call, does Donna Adelson, does she ever mention to the defendant even the name Dan Markel?
No, she does not.
Or Danny?
No,
Gibbers?
no,
A asshole?
no,
A bully?
no,
A narcissist?
no,
A jackass?
no,
Fucker?
no.
My name is Wendy Adelson. I'm Jewish.
Right, not Wendy.
Who
Two
does
of
she
them.
say?
The two of them.
Miss
The
Judy?
only people who actually spoke to the undercover was Charlie Adelson and Donna Adelson, correct?
Correct.
When Charlie Adelson spoke to the undercover, he used his cell phone.
He used, yes, and he blocked his number when he called. Yes,
He star
Miss Judy?
67 did.
correct.
And we watched it. The gentleman who's playing Aladdin King,
Miss Judy.
he's a little bit polite. Can we say that?
Yes.
Could Charlie Boy's star 67 be the most useless thing ever done on this planet?
Yeah. So it further indicates his guilt and how he was scared.
The fact that he thought he was going to conceal his identity by hitting *67. Meanwhile, there are 3 people listening to him make every single call. It's the FBI that set him up to do it, and they're obviously recording it and video recording it. The fact that he thought that *67 would do anything is hilarious.
Yeah. Plus the way, I don't know if you caught this, but on some of the phone calls after the bump, Donna is like mumbling and whispering, as if that's going to keep anyone from hearing what she said. I need to talk to you. It was kind of funny listening to it, actually.
And obviously this is your submission, right? Because I wouldn't put your boyfriend, sexy Pat Sanford, in the video package. So
yeah,
this is
that's
definitely...
ridiculous. Yeah.
Now
you got all these commenters who keep thinking that he is my boyfriend and making comments about me like, hey, I know Judy's got him, but I want to be next in line to be. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure
really?
He's married. Isn't he married? I think he mentioned his wife at something.
Well,
so
no,
of course
where we saw
I
that
respect
from?
the sanctity of marriage. So.
One of the jurors actually said that they knew his wife because she was a teacher, and I guess sexy Sanford's wife was a teacher, and that's how they know. Now, you obviously are good at math, and you know the laws of mathematics, where if one party's married and the other party's married, that cancels out. So you should never date someone who's single if you're married or vice versa. But from what I understand, if you're married over married equals cancels out. So don't worry about Sanford being married.
Okay, that's a weird way of thinking about it. I've never heard anyone equate that to some sort of mathematical equation, like therefore with the 3 little dots, therefore affair is okay.
What is it you find so attractive about Sanford? His looks or his I'm just asking as from a woman's perspective, because a lot of women love it.
I said that I was kind of excited when I first saw him walking in person towards me. I was like, oh, it's Pat Sanford. I didn't mean to, make it into some lurid sexual type of thing. Jeez.
Well, you told me privately that you thought he's good looking. You didn't tell me about getting excited when you saw him, but either way, I'm just asking a serious question. What is it that makes him so attractive to you?
Well,
is it
I think women like it when they see a man in a suit who is not overweight and gross looking. So
okay, that's it.
Maybe you want to wear a suit,
Oh, Judy hates the way I dress. She hates that I wear a hat and I'm never dressed. You're so Asian when it comes to that, meaning like your parents made you look good and everything's about the appearance.
Not really.
Well, sort of.
Okay. Stereotypes aside. Yeah, but seriously, if you're an attorney on YouTube, most of the time you'll get more respect if you dress up. Look at Carl.
That's not going to help me.
Huh?
That's not going to help my cause.
It's not going to help you? No, I think it would, because there's this African-American attorney called the lead attorney. And somebody told me about his YouTube channel. So I got on his channel during a live chat. And this guy's like wearing this expensive, fancy looking suit with a purple tie or something with this like background of legal books on a bookshelf. And people love it. They were throwing money at him left and right. It was crazy. I was like, geez, so no wonder he's like raking in the bucks on YouTube and even charges for consultations, if you find out about him through YouTube and stuff. But I think people love seeing this like professional guy looking like what they think is a typical lawyer look. So
it is true to a certain extent. For certain, if you're trying to sell your legal services, you don't want to dress like me. But on here, I think it's a little bit different with regard to that. But I know that women find your boyfriend here very attractive. I was really asking, is it the personality, the physical looks, a combination of the two? Is it that he's a measured guy, that he doesn't seem to be getting overly excited?
Yeah, like he seems to have a very cool demeanor. He seems like he's very stable. He doesn't seem like some whack job like your friend John. I can't stand watching John's YouTube channel, and I don't know why you would even want to be on it. Like, John's
You're referring to stuttering John Edward Melendez.
John Melendez. I'm like, who would want to watch this? He looks grotesque. The way he talks is like some like uncouth 12-year-old, plus he sounds like he's drunk and he looks slovenly and out of shape, wearing crappy clothes. Like that's a big turnoff for most women. Whereas Sanford here, I mean, not to be totally superficial, but I guess I am. Like, he just looks good. It looks like he cares about his appearance. Of course, it's because he's going to be a witness in this big case. But, he's dressed nicely. He presents well. He can speak well. He's articulate. He doesn't seem drunk or bipolar like your friend. So those are big, big pluses here.
Should I leave you two alone for a second?
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so somebody's saying I'm not Sanford. Well, I don't care, okay? Because I'm...
Whoa, what does that mean? You don't... Why? Because you're
Them's
Asian?
fighting words. Yeah.
I wonder why you wouldn't be Sanford's type.
Well, I don't know. Because he's married,
I already explained to you how that works.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, guys, I really do not have the hots for him. I have the utmost respect for him as a professional. So yeah, I'm not being like fangirling over him. This is part of Vince's comedic performance. So yeah.
I didn't even submit this part, so.
Okay, yeah, whatever. Okay, let's keep going. Okay?
Yes.
Correct.
He's the nicest Latin king I've ever seen in my life.
Correct. There's reasons.
Miss Judy. It's very inappropriate, Miss Judy.
I love you too, Judy.
Okay, I'm on mute. Okay, thank
Miss
you.
Judy, that is very inappropriate. What is this?
Huh? Oh, it's Wendy?
Now, do you like Wendy Jill's hair in this one or the one before it?
I think her hair looks nice here.
You may not know this because Jewish girls traditionally have very wavy, curly hair. So they spend about a quarter of their life straightening it, and you have the hair that they would die for. I mean, these girls, besides the nose, they look at hair, and their hair is generally bad, that they have to straighten it. They could do chemical straighten, they do with the hair dryer. And Wendy Jill has the same issue. She has Jewish hair, as they call it. And I could say that, obviously, because my wife and kids are Jewish, sort of. So I understand hair. My mom was a hairdresser. I explained that in the past. And I know the trials and tribulations that she has to go through. So if you flip back to one before, she changed her hair. She didn't change her outfit in the first. Like, her hair's a little bit different there. Which do you like better as a female? That one or the one?
The earlier one, because this one looks weird. People said she looked like a cone head. Like, why is it all like raised up into a triangular little pokey cone head
Yes,
thing?
this is why they don't like this is why they're envious of you Asian girls, because you don't have to worry about this. But when you're straightening it, if you don't get it at the right time while it's being dried, it gets puffy sometimes. And of course, if there's humidity or something like that, it gets like that. That's exactly why it happens. She has naturally wavy, very curly hair.
Yeah, we saw that in the picture of her with George and the kids from, people were saying it's from a couple of years ago, but I was like, wow, she looks so different in that picture. Yeah.
I missed that last super chat that was up
Oh,
there.
thank you. Yeah, somebody gave $10, $10. Critical Conversations. Thank you so much. You guys make a great combination. Love your individual channels respectively and love your coverage. Thank you. Okay. All right.
Should I send that $5 to Donna Sue?
No.
I want to donate my portion.
I told you, stop. You don't need to give. That's like the dumbest thing you could spend money on. Jeez.
So now, the obviously, besides her hair, Wendy Jill's in the standard Leon County jail outfit. Percentage-wise, what is the probability she is going to be arrested, in your opinion?
I think 90%.
90?
Yeah, because I was listening to SDS the night that Donna was convicted, and Dave Ehrenberg looked super excited, and he knows what he's talking about because he was most recently the state attorney for Palm Beach. So, he keeps saying that he doesn't know any behind the scenes info because he keeps it professional with Jack Campbell. But the guy has been a prosecutor for many years, and he's paid close attention to this case. And I'm sure he's talked behind the scenes with some people, but he's not telling us.
I saw a post from someone that got really excited that had pictures of Tato and Katie and Charlie all being they're all staying at the jail. I guess the person was implying that a grand jury is going to be summoned this week or next week, and for some reason they may have to be here for that. Is there any truth to what I'm saying?
It could be. Yeah, because there was another commenter who was digging through the courtroom records that I think might be available online. And it does seem like there are some grand juries that are supposed to convene possibly over the next couple of weeks. So this is all conjecture, though. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, because that's assuming that there are no other crimes in Tallahassee.
Yeah,
that would require
that's
a grand jury.
Yeah, that's what Tim Jansen was saying on SDS. He said there are plenty of other crimes going on in Tallahassee, so what do we know? But it does sound kind of weird, like why would they need to transfer Katie to Leon County because the trial is over? So unless she's just there to speak with investigators and the state some more, but I hope it's for some sort of grand jury.
So just to be clear, sorry to cut you off, I thought that they were all there in Leon County. So you're saying that Katie's getting transferred to Leon County from where?
That just happened yesterday around like 3:30 in the morning because I saw it through FindLink. She was at the Wakulla jail. So first they transported her from her regular prison, which is Ocala, I think. Well, wherever her regular prison was, to Wakulla, and then to Leon County yesterday.
Yeah, and I know that Donna got transferred out of Leon because of the use of the tablet, and then someone else got all the records for Charlie Boy, and he is a fake person, Charlie, in terms of he's nice to the people that he can get something from, like the black guys that drive him, but then if he doesn't get his tablet, he was crying like a little bitch, and then supposedly someone ran over his foot with the thing, and he wants to speak to the supervisor, and he's acting like a big Karen in prison, apparently. Did you read those records?
Yes. Yeah, I did, thanks to True Lifestyles. So I can't believe he would like flip out and act so crazy, though, because when you're an inmate, you have to be at the mercy of your captors. You can't be pissing them off and cursing and yelling at them. I mean, it just shows how trashy he is, sort of like Donna. They'll just flip out even when they're in the jail setting.
Yeah, that's tough transition because they've been used to getting their way, and now in theory they can't. But it seems like the people around Charlie are very subservient. Even the guy that got him that Wendy to eat in the actual van was pretty nice to him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Miss Judy, when that guy buys Wendy for Charlie to eat, does he lay out his own money or does he get it back? How does that work?
That's a good question because some people said that the transportation guy said he used his own money to buy the Wendy's food for Charlie. Then some other commenters said that ultimately the state is supposed, or the transport company, I don't know, because it seems like this is some sort of third-party contractor that transports people. Yeah, because they are supposed to give those inmates food. So that should be part of the fee that the state pays to them to transport people around. You can't just have them starving the whole trip.
Yeah,
so,
I wasn't
I don't
sure.
know.
Who is the girl that actually got that recording? I really like her.
Tanika. Tanika's 2 cents. Yeah.
There is something weird about watching somebody eat fast food. And when Charlie was eating Wendy, you knew that he hadn't had good food in a while. So I actually
Yes.
felt some enjoyment in my brain watching him eat Wendy. And I really did. And she's like, go, Charlie. Go, Charlie.
Yeah, that
And
was funny. That was
I want to
funny.
use it. And I
You
was
go
saying
to-
it too. Yeah, I was like, go, Charlie. Because, he's
Yeah.
like licking his fingers after eating Wendy. It was just satisfying on some level.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, of course, you do sort of feel a tinge of like, like it's pathetic because he fell from such a high level of luxury and being filthy rich and eating at the best restaurants and international travel, tons of women, to now being reduced to being like some caged rat who's like all excited, hovering over his chicken nuggets.
Yeah, there's no escaping the crime of murder in our country, right? So there's no time limit. You always have to worry. And then if you do get caught and convicted, it's your entire life. So it's just something you got to think twice. And there is a benefit in our criminal justice system to deterring people. And I know that there are people out there that watch our shows, and even myself, you think twice before you decide to murder somebody. You just have to think very, very hard and long. We're still all human apes. We will still kill. That's just in our DNA. That's what we do. And it continues throughout this very day. I mean, someone just got killed in the last hour. We don't know who they are, but that's what human apes do. That's what apes do. So this was a situation where he killed to please his mother. This was very psychological. There was no purpose. When Miss Markel was saying there was no purpose to this crime, she could almost understand if it was revenge or something else. What she didn't understand is that this is a narcissistic mother that this boy needed to please, unfortunately. It had nothing to do with his hate for Dan Markel. He couldn't
Well,
care
it
less
sort of
who
did.
was.
He hated Dan too. So he totally hated Dan.
Why? He hated Dan because his mom hated Dan.
Well, because Wendy also kept trash talking Dan like crazy to all her friends and family and anyone who would listen to her. So
I don't
I
know,
wouldn't
though,
blame
like-
it all on Donna. Come on, you're just always trying to make it seem like, oh, Charlie did it all for his mom. It wasn't just that. It was also because he loved his sister and they had some sort of weird, maybe incest vibes going on. And, he wanted to be the hero for the whole family, not just Donna. That's my opinion.
I get that. I don't get any incest vibes whatsoever. I mean, I see the actual supply and narcissistic relationship that those two have, and there's a word for it. It's, when they're meshed together. It's not meshed, but meshed. Yeah, that's it. If you ever research that, those two are it with regard to Charlie not knowing the boundaries and the mom obviously not knowing. And if you think about what Ruth Markel said, can you imagine a mom involving your son in the worst crime that you can never get over? There's no time limit. As I said, you're going away for life. And yeah, that's what it was. There was no other reason for him to do this.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think it was also because of
You're
when
joeling me with those. So you're acting like Joel again. You might as well just click off like he does reading those chats. You guys don't pay
I'm still
attention.
looking.
Joel's good at Joel, and he'll smile. It's like, I watch Joel the whole time. I don't even watch the guy. I just see what he's not paying attention. And
Yeah,
what he's
but I'm
doing.
still looking forward. It's not like I'm like looking down at
Yeah.
a cell phone and,
Well,
like
thank you.
playing on my phone. I'm paying attention to you. But
Sure.
people want to be acknowledged also. So how are
I
you
get it.
supposed to?
Let's see the show. Acknowledge everybody.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being there and supporting both our channels.
I want the attention you give Sexy Sanford when he's walking past you. I want that goddamn attention.
That wasn't much attention. It was like over in a span of a couple of seconds. Okay, now you're going to make some dirty
Patty
joke
said
about
she
that.
saw you rubbing up against the TV when you were watching it on YouTube. Is
Come
that true?
on. No, stop making stuff up. So, thank you, Mary. Thank you for the super sticker. Appreciate your
Thanks, Mary.
support also. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And I'll give you half if you promise you're not going to give any
Don't
more
give it to me because I'll give it
donations.
right to Donna Sue or maybe
Yeah,
even
well.
Wendy. So you really think that Wendy 90% chance of being arrested?
Yes. Yes.
That's
Everybody,
high. Wow.
all the legal experts on the case have all been saying, that she is going to get arrested. They're done using her to convict all these people. I'm not too sure about Harvey, but I could definitely see her getting arrested. And Dave Ehrenberg predicted it could happen within the next month or two.
Oh, before we go, the attorney that Wendy was being represented by was whom in this
Kristen Adams.
No, because this guy said that he went into
John Floro.
Yeah, who's that?
John Floro. That's her current attorney. So he does criminal defense. Somehow I feel like he does more white collar criminal defense. I don't know if he has much in terms of murder trial defense.
So that's Wendy's current criminal attorney that the matrimonial attorney was trying to negotiate that deal with.
Mm-hmm.
The attorney that we watched today with Joel said he went to Wendy's attorney's office.
Oh, that's a different person because
That's
Wendy
who I wanna know.
had, she had multiple attorneys. That was Jimmy Judkins. I'm pretty sure that's his last name. And she made Jimmy Judkins make a fool out of himself for the media, because I specifically recall there was a newspaper article soon after Dan was killed where Jimmy spoke on her behalf and said she's so scared. She is very scared for the safety of herself and her kids, and she's fully cooperating with the police. Of course, later we found out, much later, that Wendy certainly was no longer cooperating with the police because she either hung up the phone or pretended there was some sort of bad connection when Isom tried to call her again soon after Dan's death.
Yeah, so you're saying that she knew before Dan was murdered, and that's a jump you got to be able to prove, obviously, and it could be true. And we know that Charlie was speaking with her that morning, but let's just say Charlie calls her and said, I hired someone to kill your ex-husband. What is Wendy's obligation as a citizen in terms of avoiding any criminal culpability? If someone calls you and says,
well, that didn't happen anyway. So, I can see what you're doing, just trying to veer the conversation to this like totally hypothetical unicorn scenario, which isn't the truth. But there is no duty.
Question, though.
There is no legal duty to warn. Although Mentor Lawyer has said that, well, I disagree because based on the relationship between Wendy and her children and Dan, that she did have a duty to warn.
Yeah, but you have that obligation, let's say, to warn the cops or warn someone, that's generally not what the law is unless there's some special relationship.
Yeah.
So that's really where you're going to have to prove. Now, Wendy offered everything. But Wendy Jill offered her. That doesn't
fit the truth, so forget about that.
I don't know what the issue is. Like, I don't know if she knew or didn't know, but if she did know and she drove by there because Charlie Boy said that it was going to happen at that time, which I don't necessarily think is such a big deal, her driving there. That is
a huge deal. I think you're just saying all these ridiculous scenarios because you want attention and to be stirring the pot. Yeah, you want attention.
But
we'll give you positive attention instead of making up stupid scenarios that do not fit with reality, in this case, to a community of people who have thoroughly studied this case since 2014 or 2016.
I've studied it too. King Tato and Tuto were not reliable with regard to when they would actually get this thing done. So the fact that she drives by because someone told her it was going to get done is not necessarily plausible. They've been there multiple days, multiple times, and they never got the job done.
So what? What are you saying,
Ken? Yeah, because
that it's no big deal that she drove by. Give me a break. I mean,
that's not paying attention.
Yeah, I think you just want to make up some I'm trying not to curse.
Sexy Sanford. Yeah, if I look like Sexy Sanford, you'd pay attention.
Well, if Agent Sanford wants to come on my show, I'd fully welcome that, and I'm sure he would show up in a suit.
I'm sure.
Yeah. See, Vince, show up in a suit so we can make the show look more legit. I could wear a suit also, but it's pretty uncomfortable.
You wear your birthday suit for Sexy Sanford. I know you. According to Patty, I know exactly what you wear.
Okay. Whatever.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
now I have to go anyway. So now
Okay.
your fans can enjoy. That was the end of it. I don't appreciate you put Wendy Jill in those prison or jail outfits. That's not cool with me.
Well, it's actually not. It's not purple and gray though. I think it's sort of purplish, bluish, and beigeish. Yeah,
Well,
for
let's just
Leon
pray we
County.
never actually have to find out. At least with that view.
Okay. Well, we've enjoyed your commentary, and thank you guys who have stayed till the very end. Sorry for all the digressions and stuff, but I hope you found it entertaining. Okay.
I did good. I didn't say big black cock, right?
Will you stop
I
saying
didn't call
that?
white
That is
guys honkies.
offensive. That
Oh,
is offensive.
I didn't say Oriental. Well, maybe I said Orientals once.
Yeah.
You got to give me
well,
a new list, and I promise next time I won't say any of those words.
Okay. Well, we could
See you
always
later.
go on one of your channels and be as crude as you want on your channel, but on my channel, we try to keep it sort of cleaner and try to be more reliable as a source of quasi journalism. Okay. So somebody's saying you haven't studied this case at 1/20th as much as Judy.
What was that word you used that's equivalent to vagina fog? I actually forgot it.
Stigmatized.
All right, gotta go. See you later.
Okay, thank you guys. This is crazy. Okay, I'm sorry about this, but now we have to end it on such a silly note. But thank you for being there. And I'm sorry I couldn't get to all the comments and stuff. But the next guest is going to be on Thursday. And it's going to be somebody totally new. His name is Gary. And I met him and his wife at Donna's trial. We just happened to be standing next to each other while waiting to go inside the courtroom. It turns out he's a former attorney who is now CFO of a restaurant chain in Connecticut. He also lives in Florida sometimes. So he and his wife were big followers of the case to the point where they actually traveled to Tallahassee to watch for a few days. So Gary is bravely willing to come and be on the show, be a new face to discuss the Dan Markel Donna Adelson trial. So hopefully you guys will tune in Thursday. I can't remember. I think it's at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Lizzie. But like I said, it is so hard to get good guests, and he's been willing to show up. So if you guys want to be guests on future live stream shows, please leave a comment. And I totally welcome new guests and different viewpoints. So thank you very much. Take care. Have a good evening.